Take a look at this photo. If I asked you where this was taken, you'd probably guess the set of Star Trek, or maybe a villain's lair in a James Bond movie. If you're a designer, you might look at those clean lines and white surfaces and think this is an early prototype for an Apple store. You certainly wouldn't guess that this is a government office in Santiago, Chile, in 1972. This is the story of Project Cybersyn. Decades before the internet, before the big data, and certainly before the smart little gadgets we all hold in our pockets today. A socialist government tried to build a nervous system for an entire country. They tried to run an economy using an algorithm. It was one of the most ambitious tech experiments in history. And it was destroyed before it ever got the chance to change the world. But this isn't just a history lesson. It's a warning. It's a story about how every government starts with a vision and ends in chaos, and how the innovation we praise in Silicon Valley today is mostly just repackaged history. The year is 1971. Salvador Allende has just been elected as the first Marxist president in Latin America. Like all new governments, it starts with poetry. The honeymoon phase. The vision is pure. Nationalize the factories. Give power to the workers. Feed the poor. But then, the Achilles heel of every government kicks in. You know the cycle. A government starts with a great vision, but within months, it spirals into bureaucracy. The vision gets lost in paperwork, slow decisions, and corruption. The movement becomes the machine. Allende knew this. He knew that centralized economies usually become slow, disastrous dinosaurs. He needed a way to hack the system. He didn't need more bureaucrats. He needed a wizard. Enter Stafford Beer, a British consultant and the father of management cybernetics. Beer believed that a country shouldn't be run like an army, but like a biological brain, decentralized, adaptive, and able to fix itself. He pitched Allende a crazy idea. What if we wired the whole country into one network? What if the government could react to problems in real time? But here was the catch. In 1971, Chile was a developing nation. They didn't have a network of computers. In fact, the government only had one powerful mainframe computer, an IBM 360/50, for the entire country. So, how do you build an internet with only one computer? You use Telex machines. They placed these ancient text messaging machines in 500 factories up and down the spine of Chile. Every day, factory managers would punch in key numbers, raw materials, production output, and absentee rates. That data was transmitted via microwave radio to Santiago, where a room full of cyber girls manually fed it into the mainframe. The software, called Cyberstride, used Bayesian statistics to filter out the noise. It was designed to break that government spiral. Instead of waiting months for a report, if a copper mine ran out of fuel, the computer knew in 24 hours. And that data ended up here, the ops room. Now, look closely. This room is the perfect example of why innovation is often just a myth. We give credit to Apple and Jony Ive for the clean, white, minimalist industrial design of the 2000s. But look at these chairs. Look at the hexagonal layout. This was designed by Guy Bonsiepe from the famous Ulm School of Design in Germany. The same school that inspired the Apple aesthetic decades later. And check out the armrests. No keyboards. Beer knew politicians couldn't type and hated looking dumb. So they built these big hand buttons, squares, triangles, and circles. A politician could navigate complex economic graphs just by squeezing their thumb on the armrest, all while smoking a cigar. It was user experience, UX design, 30 years ahead of its time. Critics called it a toy. But in October 1972, the CIA-backed opposition launched a massive strike of 40,000 truckers to to starve the capital. Allende's government had only a handful of loyal trucks left. They used Cybersyn to route those few trucks with perfect efficiency. The socialist internet broke the blockade. It actually worked. And this is where the tragedy hits. Stafford Beer complained that technology leads humanity by the nose. He built Cybersyn to start with citizen needs. Is the house warm? Is the family fed? And work backward. Compare that to today. Modern digital utopianism doesn't start with citizen needs. It starts with a PowerPoint slide in a venture capitalist's pitch deck. We have the data, we have the sensors, but we use them to sell ads, not to solve homelessness. There is a lot of money to be made in selling us the dials, but we still haven't figured out how to run the machine. But as I said, every government has an Achilles heel. For Allende, it wasn't the software that failed. It was the tanks. On September 11, 1973, General Pinochet staged a coup. When the soldiers broke into the ops room, they didn't understand the cybernetics or the Bayesian statistics. They just saw something that looked weird, sophisticated, and communist. So they smashed it. They destroyed the room, burned the documentation, and the dream of a real-time democracy died. President Allende died in the palace, and Stafford Beer fled the country. The network was dismantled, and Chile went from a futuristic cybernetic experiment to a brutal dictatorship. Today, we live in the world Stafford Beer imagined. Walmart and Amazon use real-time data to manage economies larger than Chile's. The algorithm did take over, but Cybersyn was different. It was designed to give power to the people, not the shareholders. It leaves us with a haunting question. If this room hadn't been destroyed, what would the internet look like today?
Let me know, and subscribe for more history that almost happened.